Hey, you know what? I do feel like you mentioned a famous call, and I was actually given this on social media because it was not on my radar. But you actually lost a friend of yours, a famous legendary broadcaster recently.
Mhm.
I want to give you just a minute to speak about your friend.
Jim Weber passed away, the longtime Toledo Mud Hens broadcaster. I was so excited when I started doing Gwinnett Braves baseball back in 2009 to be able to meet Jim Weber because Jim, even before I started doing minor league baseball, I had known Jim or known of Jim. He started doing this is how long he did it. He started doing Toledo Mud Hens baseball when I was a junior in high school, a junior in freaking high school. So I got to know Jim, and every time we would go to Toledo, Toledo was a cool town, and they have a lot of restaurants and bars around their stadium, Fifth Third Field. And so Jim and I would always go out afterwards and have some beers or have something to eat and talk. And he didn't. He talked. I always asked Jim. I said, why didn't you why didn't you ever get a major league job?" And he said, "I just love Toledo." And he said, I applied for a major league job one time in my career. And I thought that was so unique because every minor league broadcaster wants to get into the major leagues. You see that as a stepping stone. He just saw that as just being Toledo was his job. And they asked him one time, a reporter asked him one time, they said, "Jim, when are you going to retire?" And Jim said, "Retire from what? Watching baseball games?"
Oh wow!
So that's he knew the fun of what we were doing, and he was such a great guy. And I talked to a lot of the broadcasters in the International League who I knew and I still know, and some of them are still in the league, and everybody is just heartbroken about Jim because, and I haven't read since then about his death, but he was still doing games. I talked to Nick Curran, who's the broadcaster with the Louisville Bats, one of them, and I said, "Do you know what happened?" He said, "No," but he said, "Just this past Thursday, he and I, after the game, went out for pizza."
Wow!
So Jim was still very active, and yeah, if you knew anything, if you're from Toledo, like I know that our buddy Mike Dawkins is, everybody from Toledo knew of Jim Weber, and his death just shocked us all. It really did. Good man, good broadcaster, a lot of fun, and he lived down in Florida, started living down in Florida in the off season. That smile you see on that picture right there, smiled all the time, and no one ever had a bad word to say about him. So there you go.
Shout out to Jim Weber. I never got to know him or his work, but I can just
Yeah.
hear the love in your voice and the respect that you had for him. Uh,
He would always say to me, he said, "You ever think you'll get back in that wrestling thing?"
oh wow!
And I said, "No, Jim, I'm going to be doing Gwinnett Braves baseball forever."
Well, life
Boy, was
is
I
moving
wrong.
pretty fast.
Okay.
A little bit of a curveball there.
Yeah.
Again, we're going to be watching some Smoky Mountain. We're watching Night of the Legends, which is a big doggone show. And you mentioned earlier that you felt like your only Knoxville memory was the Brian Hildebrand show, but y'all actually did a Clash of the Champions there. Do you even
Wow.
remember that?
No, I don't.
It was Bobby Eaton versus Ric Flair for the world title in 2 out of 3 falls.
I remember that match. I
Yeah.
remember him, yeah, but I don't remember where it was. So,
The undercard had Luger and Muda, the Diamond Stud, and Tommy Rich. How about this? Rick and Scott Steiner against Chono and Hase. Wyndham
wow.
and Anderson against Pillman and Elegante. It's a crazy show. It was Clash of the Champions 15, went down June 12th, 1991, in front of
Mhm.
5,000 fans. Here's how much of a nerd I am. Anytime I see June 12th, I think, hey, that was ECW One Night Stand in 2005. But
Nerd.
there you go. Clash of the Champions way
And it,
back when,
that Steiner match was a rematch from
Japan.
Japan. Absolutely.
And you know what's funny? It was Jim Hurd's the first match he talked to me about when I finally hooked up with Jim Hurd after all
Yeah.
these years. That was the match that left the biggest impression on him. Their match over in Japan.
Yeah. Well, that match stole the show.
Yeah.
That and Inoki coming out and doing an angle with somebody. It was that was pretty cool too. I was thinking about this and why I don't remember. I can remember matches, but I don't remember venues or where they were. I was thinking about this the other day. If you go into an AEW arena,
Mhm.
it pretty much looks the same. You know,
Yeah.
there's the ring, LED board, there's the banner, there's the entranceway, and there are the seats, and it's all kind of the same in a way. There's nothing unique about it, with the exception of obviously going to Wembley. So all the arenas kind of look the same. The matches stand out, but I can never remember where that match was normally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
totally get it. I mean, on some level, most of the arenas do look the same on the inside, and I think that's probably by design. I mean, we want it's funny because, uh, well, my friend Matt Coon recently said, "Hey, one of the things AEW could do to differentiate themselves from WWE is get rid of all the video boards
Yeah.
because that is so WWE. All the video screens, all the video boards."
Mhm.
And I had to just sort of almost close my eyes and imagine a world where AEW had a less flashy entrance. And it reminded me of like, man, how much fun we've had watching old Jim Crockett Promotions and how much fun we've had watching ECW. And I didn't need fancy LED boards and a bunch of pyro to enjoy either one of those.
Yeah.
And I like that less is more, but I'm curious, do you think it would translate as a television product? And I'm not so sure. Like,
It
I
wouldn't.
know I, for one, would like it, but I do think if I was not a hardcore wrestling fan and I was just a television executive watching the program, I might think, man, we got to dress that up.
Exactly.
What do you think about that? I mean, as a one-off, could that be fun if we
No,
dumped it down and did it old school for a show?
no, I don't think so.
Wow.
And I think Matt Coon should just worry about whatever he does.
Oh, okay. He shouldn't share an opinion or a thought on social.
No, why don't he just
I'll
start
tell
booking
people.
matches now?
You got who? You got heat with Matt Coon?
No, no, not at all.
All right. It's good to know. Hey, somebody that I know you don't have heat with are the fine folks who put together a little baseball park out in the middle of nowhere. You
Mhm.
posted this to social recently. I wanted to share it with everybody. When you went into the TNT Hall of Fame in Iowa, you and the fam, being a baseball family like you are, took a detour and
Mhm.
you went to see the Field of Dreams. You posted a little video, and we're not going to play the music, but I would love to have you just sort of narrate exactly what the heck we're looking at and what's going on. But before we do that,